Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service. Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're all about the positivity here on the show, always about positivity. And with me right now, I've got a very special guest. He's worked for a numerous amount of companies, worked in WCW. Pleased to welcome the one, the only, Dave Sullivan. Dave, welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Thank you very much. I'm glad to be here.
Yes. All right. So tell me about your childhood. Where are you from?
Well, I was born in Baltimore when my dad was with the Colts. And then we moved to Denver because he started playing for the Broncos. So we grew up in Denver there for a while. And then about junior high, he got a job at UNO here, Nebraska at Omaha, as the defensive coordinator with Al Caniglia. And that's kind of what brought us to Omaha. So then we moved to Omaha here, and then that's where I did sports. Of course, that's where I ended up going for football wrestling scholarship to UNO and playing there. And then kind of continued from there. But yeah, we kind of grew up as myself, my brother, my two sisters, and mom and dad. And we were a very close-knit family, and that's kind of, my mom and dad. And kind of, they were both busy. They both worked, as mom taught school too, but they always were part of our lives.
So it seems like you grew up in a very athletic family. Sports seemed to be like the passion growing up. What was it about athletics for you that really made you go, man, I love this and I want to do more of this?
I think it's the competitiveness and the camaraderie both. I think it's a combination of both, to be honest with you. You love to compete, but you also love the camaraderie with your friends and colleagues and all that, and especially high school and college. There's a lot of closeness there.
What memories do you have of like your first football game or moment that, you were like, man, I love being with these people. This is fun.
Well, I started amateur wrestling first when I was about like third or fourth grade. I think both my brother and I did, because my dad was assistant wrestling coach up there at Adams City there in Colorado, and he's head football coach. So I started then. I remember I got second place in my first tournament. I just thought it was the greatest thing in the world. I hadn't done anything yet, so I just thought that was really cool and special. And from then on, I liked sports. And of course, then when you got a little older, we started playing football in sixth grade. So then I played there until I couldn't play anymore. So, and then I wrestled all the way to college. And then once I wanted to put some size and weight on, because I was on the offensive line at UNO, I got out of wrestling and just went all football in college.
Football, just like with wrestling, I mean, you have to get disciplined. You have to get in shape for it. The coaches put you through a lot of drills and really start, making you work as hard as possible.
Right.
What was it about, pieces of advice that you got from coaches that made you go, okay, and you took away from that experience? Was there anything that you applied to football that stuck with you even to this day?
Oh, I think, the lessons you learn in athletics, you can't learn in a schoolroom. And that's just the hard work that you have to learn how to stay disciplined in your craft. And I think athletics teaches that, because you always got to be on time. You always got to be there. Practice is especially in football, wrestling, very physical. They're both very, very physical sports. So they demand a lot of your body. And I think that whole part of competing and the aggressiveness, because my dad always taught us, when you get off the field or off the wrestling mat, you're a gentleman. And so we always kind of did that. When you're on the field, you could be that other person. So when you come off the field, it was always, you always went back to yourself, who was a gentleman, and try to treat people like you wanted to be treated.
It's awesome. It's what it's about, the golden rule at the end of the day. Now,
Yeah.
Professional wrestling, were you a fan growing up?
We used to, we grew up, because we lived in Denver and Omaha, so we were part of the AWA, because at that time the AWA was the, and so you got to watch, Byrne and all of them guys back when we were growing up. So you always, yes, my grandmother, it would be my great grandmother on my mom's side, was a major fan. She goes back to Gorgeous George and all that stuff. And bless her heart, she believed it was real. She argued with Bob and my brother and I all the time. No, it's real. We'd say, "Mom, they die." It was real as many times as ever. It's real, Grandma. Grandma would say, "Oh, she liked that better than she did any other sport. She'd get right there at the tape and she'd grab that dang chair and everything like that." And it was serious for her.
Wow. Did you go to any live events growing up?
Yeah, we would go down to the Civic Auditorium here in Omaha, watch watch AWA and Harley, Handsome Harley and all those guys, and growing up, and of course Omaha had a famous one that wrestled at Omaha North and at Nebraska, Baron von Raschke, and he was on that roster, so that has kind of meant a lot for all of us because he was actually an Omaha guy, even though he was the Baron, and it was from Germany, but he was. Yeah, he played at North. He was a wrestler for Omaha North, and then he also was an All-American wrestler for Nebraska.
Gotta love the guys that play the foreign heels. They're billed from different countries, but they're actually American.
Yeah, they're from your hometown.
They're from your hometown.
Yeah.
So, who were some of your favorites growing up?
Oh, I mean, I always liked Harley. I thought him and his acting part, Larry the Axe. I always liked those two guys, and I always enjoyed. Byrne was good too because he always, he was a great maneuver, and then Billy Robinson I enjoyed too.
Yeah, those are some good ones. Were your parents supportive of you deciding to pursue a career in pro wrestling?
They were more shocked.
Really?
Yeah, than anything. Just because, they're both educators and they thought, what's this guy going to this thing for? But they supported me, yeah, after I did it. Yeah. They were first shocked because I was still at that time, I was still I was coaching a little bit and teaching in college. So I mean, it was a change from what I was doing.
What were you teaching?
Physical education, like exercise science, strength training.
Okay, so still in that realm, still in that
Yeah.
realm of athletics and fitness. So I'd imagine the transition from football to pro wrestling was seamless because there's a lot of stuff in common.
There is the difference is at least back in that day, they beat the heck out of you when you went through training. They did. You went through. I mean, I think we threw up at least for 2 weeks straight every day, and they were only happy if you did that. And,
Hmm.
with all the workouts and training we do, then they would stretch you, and so you understand what it felt like when you actually had to move on for real.
What was any advice that you were given from your trainers in pro wrestling that you applied during your time there and advice that still sticks with you?
Oh, just always be there on time. Be there for the show. This is the show. Is don't get all caught up into your character and believe that's who you are. You're still who you are, but do your character wherever you go. But yet, remember, it's the show that counts. It's everybody working together to have a good show.
Yeah. I mean, it's a team effort. It
Right.
really is. And
It
so
is.
what can you tell me about when you're putting all the fundamentals together, you go through the training process, your first few matches, what were they like?
It was green. Show, because the first time you go out under the lights and do that, and it's live, you're nervous, just like you're in a football game. But you can tell you're nervous because you're tight, you're not relaxed, so you don't move as relaxed as you should do because it is your first matches and you're a little stiff. And you don't mean to be, but you just are just because you're tight up there and you're nervous.
Any memories of some of your first matches or opponents during this period of time?
Yeah, I mean, uh, Rex King and all those guys I first started. Yeah, they helped me a lot because I mean I knew how to do it in the gym and all that stuff. It was just when you go out there live, it was a little bit different. So it was important. Early on they always put you with even though you weren't going to go over, you were still out there with the veteran, and that's good because they get you to relax in the ring and just take your time because otherwise you just get in a big hurry and you rush through everything. And you see that today when you see young guys start out or young ladies, they're always rushing stuff and not taking their time and let the crowd get into the match.
It's always good to have those veterans there to help you out because they were starting out as well
Yeah, they were
not
great
that
one
long
time too.
ago.
Yeah.
And so you have to, they help you get better.
Right.
And so that's the thing, it takes two to tango, and you both need each other to make sure that you're able to do what you need to do to be successful in the wrestling business. And so
Correct.
you got to work for numerous different companies, most notably WCW. When did you get signed with them, and tell me about how you got hired?
Well, at that time I was in Puerto Rico with Dick Murdoch, and we were working together a lot. We were in room together, and Dusty was looking for a big blonde heel, and he called Dick, and Dick recommended me, and so Dusty gave me a call and made an offer, and I left Puerto Rico and went up to Atlanta, and Greg picked me up. Greg Gagne picked me up at the airport, and I started out as equalizer.
Ah,
See, down there I was the equalizer too, down in Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico is a just a legendary wrestling territory in its own
You know,
right. I mean, the fans really are passionate about the craft and the art of wrestling. I mean, it's
big time.
intense. It's crazy. I mean, any fun stories you want to share about your time there?
Oh heck, when you did, I did a thing with Carl Stiles, and we did the thing with his eye, and we had it popped out and got the match started, and they went nuts. I mean, they chased me. I couldn't. If we got back to the locker room, they threw stuff at me. That's the difference out there. They'd always pick me and Dick up and take us because they were worried about security wise. Because people there, they go nuts. They throw stuff at you. They try to grab you. They gig you, and so they had to get us back into the locker room so they could get us out of there because yeah, they were nuts. They weren't gonna. They waited outside for me.
That's
So
crazy.
it's a little different. Yeah, it's different. It's a whole new experience down there. I mean, they're serious. Yeah, they're great fans, but they're very serious.
So you get to WCW, you're the equalizer. Uh, what can you remember? Tell me about your debut there, because when you're debuting this character in front of a national audience, I mean, there's the nerves kicking in. You're in front of a whole new set of fans. Any memories from this particular moment?
Oh, just that you can't because when I first came out there, I was tagging with Rick Rude, and so I looked up to Rick because you watched him in the WWF there because that's where he was at the time, and you thought he was a great heel and did great work, and all of a sudden they put you with him, and he was a great person, and we worked together, and he helped me tons, and you're just nervous because it's like you said, that's what you're thinking about. You're in front of all these people, this new crowd. Rick would just say, just think of you're at a house show and just relax, and that helped a lot. So after a while it went pretty smooth. It was good.
And you got to work with Kevin Sullivan during your time there as well. What was it like working
Yeah.
with him?
Oh, yeah, Paul Orndorff, him, Kevin Sullivan. Kevin he was really, as far as a wrestling person, unbelievably talented. I mean, he had great ideas and just very intelligent and always thought ahead. Great to work with in the ring, as against him and as also a partner. So I mean, I enjoyed my time with Kevin. He's a wonderful human being, and he's close to my heart. All of them guys really are. The good guys are always close to your heart because you travel together, you hang out together. And back then we fly in and we drive everywhere together. And so you become very close.
Yeah, I mean, at that point, WCW really was kicking it to another level at this point. Nitro had just debuted, and they
Right,
were going head to head with WWE, with Raw. So the Monday Night Wars just started, and you were there.
right. Yeah,
You were
that was
there.
big. It was big. And we were toe to toe with them at that time. Yeah, right there with them, toe to toe. And we'd win their week, they'd win a week, or we win 2-3 weeks in a row, they'd win. I mean, it was a great competition, and you got to work with a lot of different guys and a lot of top stars. So it was really cool.
Who were some of your favorite opponents to work with over the years?
Oh, Kevin would be one. I always enjoyed working against Flair and Sting both. Um, who else did I have? Oh, Diamond was good too. He was a good worker. Um, and then so there wasn't a whole lot there that I worked because I worked a lot of tags too because of Paul and Ray. and Kevin. So we worked. I loved working with Steve Austin and the Blondes. What the heck was he passed away? He was a
Paul
football.
Brian Pillman.
Yeah, they were great working with those two guys. We worked all over the place with those two guys, and I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that WCW did was that Steve Austin walk, because then he goes to WWE and it changed. I mean, once he got over there, we started doing this on Monday night, and they started doing this, and then all of a sudden The Rock got there, and it was over.
I mean, Austin really was at the top of his game when he became Stone Cold.
Yeah,
He really was.
you travel with him. You could see he had it.
Mm-hmm.
The word it, that it that could really take you to the top because it's that that charisma or whatever it is you want to call it. But he had it. You knew it. I thought that when he walked out that building, because I was at that shows, one of our taping shows there downtown, and when he left, he said, "I'll catch you later, Dave." And I didn't realize until I found out later. Yeah, he left and was going to WWE. He was going to, he didn't have any place right then, but then he started trying to get a hold of Vince.
I mean, that's hard, when somebody's been working for one place for a while and you're friends with them, and it's hard to see them go because you never know when you get to see those guys again.
I agree. Yeah, and Steve's another good guy. You felt bad for him. I mean that, and it hurt the WCW because
Yeah.
we were living on a lot of the old WWE stars, and he was a new star, and then once Vince got him over as, and you had the big tall guy Mark there, and they had Mark first too.
Mm-hmm.
They did too. They had Mark before he went to the WWE. So I mean, they had two of the biggest names in wrestling history were with WCW first.
Yeah. Stone Cold and The Undertaker. I mean,
Yeah. You saw the last WWE, he got the pop just coming out at the end, Rock. I mean, the people went nuts.
They did. Well, and you also got to wrestle in Japan too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Did a few tours there, but then I did one or two tours after the WCW.
That's another place where the fans are really passionate about it, and they treat it like a sport. They really do.
It's number 2 behind sumo wrestling there. Baseball's 3. People don't realize that. That and sumo's kind of part of the religion, but they do love their professional wrestling, and that's why when you go on tour there, you can't go for more than 2 to 3 weeks because you beat the hell out of each other. I mean, it's not real, but it's laid in, and so, I mean, when you go home, you're glad to go home, get a few weeks off because your body feels it.
It feels very intense. Like you can see with the punches and the kicks. It's like strong style. I believe that's one of the.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, let's switch gears now and talk about the stuff that you've done outside of the ring. I know you've done a lot of charity work over the course of your career. What things have you done in your community over the years?
Well, in the Omaha area, I've worked a lot with Special Olympics, of course, and I've always liked that with the powerlifting and different things like that. When I was with the wrestling, I was part of the Make-A-Wish thing, so I would go to hospitals and all that stuff like that. And so, I mean, in coaching ball, I still coach today. I still coach 9th grade offensive defensive line out here at Millard West, just because I substitute teach now that I'm retired, so I sub teach, and I do that, a lot of that, just to help kids and help people and try to be part of the Millard family organization and help kids out. So, I mean, I'm big on trying to see kids get a chance.
Kids are the future. And I think the more we try to encourage them to pursue their dreams, the more they're able to succeed in life. And so we need more people out there to be able to do that. So kudos to you for taking the chance and being able to help them.
Well, I mean, like I said, they're our future, and sometimes they don't always get a fair break, and you feel bad, and you want to help them out and give them a chance, try to get things figured out so they have a chance to be successful in their life.
And you had mentioned earlier that you coach football. Are you still coaching today?
Yeah, I coach at the high school up here. I got the 9th grade offensive and defensive line, so I still do that. I still do wrestling shows here locally with MWA and NLW. I help run that one. And so I stay involved with the guys that way, because try to help young people get better, so maybe they'll have a chance to be on TV and have the opportunity I did someday. But the main thing is I try to work and help with kids.
Was there one particular moment that was just so heartwarming for you when it comes to helping someone in your community?
Yeah, I tell you what, when they look at you in your eyes and they really appreciate it, it just breaks your heart. They know that you care about them. You know what I'm saying? That it's hard, because I'll get a soft tear, because that touches me more than anything else does.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, when you're around people that are struggling and they're going through something in their life, it takes a lot and it means a lot to be there for them because they know that they could use a friend or a mentor, someone to help guide them along to know like, hey, this is how if you do this, you'll be better, you'll be successful.
Yeah, sometimes they just need a dang hug.
Yeah. Well, why do you feel passionate about helping other people in your community?
I think comes from our upbringing. My mom and dad were that way. And they always helped each other, helped other people out, stuff like that. And I think their parents were like that. So it was something we saw as a young adult, a young person, I should say, growing in adulthood. And you'd realize that that's important. That you need to give back in some way.
Yeah. Well said. Well, Dave, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with
It's nice
you.
meeting you too.
Yes, and it means a lot to me to have you on here. It means a lot to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. So I want to say thank you for coming on the show. Where can people find you on social media, or if you have anything you want to plug or promote?
I'm on Instagram as Sully, and you got me on Twitter as Sullivan, and then also Bill Sullivan on Facebook. So any of those you can look me up.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Dave, and you're more than welcome to come back.
I'd come back anytime. It was a pleasure being an interview with you.
Awesome. Thanks again. Take care.
You too, my friend.
Bye-bye.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.